Thank you very much.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Coffin is Alive. I look at comic books new and old. I'm a little under the weather today, so I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do. So I'm just going to stick to an old favorite today and look at Savage Dragon. We'll look at the very first issue of Savage Dragon. This is of the ongoing series, not to be confused with the first issue of the miniseries, which is this cover here, the kind of iconic Savage Dragon #1 cover. He's got the tank top, the speed lines in the background. We're not looking at that one today, though. We're looking at Savage Dragon, the ongoing series here by Erik Larsen. Savage Dragon still got its original numbering from this #1 going today. We're at issue 275, I believe. One of the few comics that still has its original numbering, along with Spawn, the image brother of Savage Dragon. Very other few comics I can even think of that still have their original numbering. I think Action Comics might, over at DC. They just, like last year, reset Flash and Wonder Woman back to #1 after keeping their original numbering for 30 or 40 years, maybe even longer. So I still like seeing comic books with high issue counts is what I'm trying to say, like Dragon 275. It's so much fun to collect an entire series that has hundreds of issues. So start back off at the very first one here for Dragon. Awesome looking cover here. This looks like a guy you would not want to mess with. He's got his gun there. He's bleeding. It's very extreme, very 90s. But just some awesome line work here by Erik Larsen. He's probably my favorite comic book artist. I just love all the little hairs on Dragon here. The way he draws teared clothing and just everything about this is really cool. I love the black and red color too. You know you're going to get some green because it's Dragon, but I love the black and red aesthetic to it. So we start off the story here in the middle of the story as Dragon's arresting this guy named the Shrew. He's like this giant rat character. I love Dragon's rogues gallery. I think he's got one of the best rogues galleries in comics. I mean, it rivals right up there with Spider-Man, Iron Man, Batman. Maybe not quite as great as the Batman or Spider-Man rogues gallery, but Dragon has some pretty awesome bad guys here. Shrew, kind of a B-list villain. He easily disposes of him here. We see Frank Darling, who's the lieutenant of Dragon here, who's a cop. We get a splash page of Frank Darling explaining everything about the Dragon to us here, getting us caught up on everything that happened in the miniseries. And Frank saying, the bad guys have tightened their grip on the city. I can't do a damn thing about it. Which is why he's got Dragon here to help him. I love the early Dragon comics here too, because they have this gritty, like, Chicago noir feel to it. And in this first issue here, we meet Dragon. He's kind of at his lowest point, which is an interesting way to start the first issue. You think he'd be all maybe happy-go-lucky, and then at the end of the issue, something happens to cause him to reach a low point, but we're already there at the beginning of the issue, as at the end of the miniseries, the girlfriend he had just hooked up with and he let stay at his apartment got murdered in his apartment. So, of course, Dragon's racked with guilt because of that. So he's just trying to go have a drink at Moe's Tavern. But he gets these other thugs start bothering him, and he gets in a fight with them, and he destroys this lady's bar. Dragon's kind of a dick, though. He doesn't seem to really care. Then we just get this little blurb here catching us up that Mighty Man has been showing up again after we thought he died in the miniseries. And then it says Peter Kaplan, who's this famous singer-actor, he had his trademark hair burned off. And we know Peter Kaplan is actually the hero known as Star in this universe. And he had real long hair in the miniseries, but after this point, his hair's gone. So there's just a little Easter egg for that. Then we just get this interlude here. We see these dead parents with their child yelling for them down in the basement. So, really creepy scene there. And we got Alex Wilde, the partner of Dragon. She's catching up with him here. She says he looks horrible. She's trying to figure out what's wrong with him. She said she'd like to help any way she can. And Dragon says, "You want to hop in the sack or what?" And she's like, "In your dreams. That's not what I meant." So Dragon just being a total dick here in this first issue. But she says he needs to go visit his girlfriend's grave. It'll make him feel better, so he does. But the girl's mom is there, and she just guilt trips Dragon, which makes him feel even worse. We get this kind of classic splash page of Dragon in the shadows with his thoughts surrounding him here. I love the city and the clothes hangers in the background here. Just a cool little drawing. He's got all the bandages. So then we get real extreme here as Dragon busts out the chainsaws as he finds the shrew who's killing another innocent victim here. Then we get some just classic Larsen. Speed lines everywhere. Chris Iliopoulos doing the letters. We get some great sound effects. Some awesome blood splatter here. I love that 90s blood splatter where it's black, but you know it's blood splattering everywhere. They don't do that anymore. Hardly ever in comic books, but one of my guilty pleasures of 90s books. All this kind of stuff. Looks great. I used to do it in Punisher a lot. It's kind of what this reminds me of here. But just we get 2 whole pages here. No dialogue. Just a big fight scene. Speed lines everywhere. Sound effects. Just great stuff. Pounding his fist down onto the shrew. He's looking at it like almost like, I don't know what I've done. Just totally gritty. Awesome looking pages here. I love how the style changes on these 2 pages as Dragon's gone totally out of control. So Frank sends Dragon on another mission to go check out, there's been reported to be these 2 superpowered homeless people in this abandoned building, so he has Dragon go check it out. Get another cool splash page here of Dragon. He's got his mustache here. This is one of the few times he has the mustache just in this first issue. I think he shaves it off actually at the beginning of the next issue. But we meet Barbaric and Ricochet for the first time. 2 characters that would become part of Freak Force. Kind of the superhero arm of the Chicago police force. But I always like Barbaric. He's kind of like the opposite of Dragon. Although he's never really been played up as like a like an alternate Dragon or anything. But, you know, Dragon's green, Barbaric's red. They're both big. He doesn't have a fin. He's got the hair. But I always like Barbaric as kind of like an anti-Dragon, even though they're on the same side, though. So, but we get the first meeting between them here, and they're having a typical superhero battle, misunderstanding going on here. Another great drawing. So Ricochet puts an end to it here and tells them to stop it. You guys are crazy, knock it off. She explains they just don't have anywhere to live. They could really use a job. Basically, Dragon says he'll try and help them out if they can. So we get the beginnings of Freak Force here at the end of the issue. We get the letters page, of course, from Dragon, which is always a hallmark of Savage Dragon. They've still got the letters pages going today. And it's always fun reading these. You get a lot of information. There's one funny thing in here. He gets questioned, will you ever do your Nova miniseries for Marvel? Brian Long asks. And Larsen says no. But about this came out in 93, summer of 93. And it would take Larsen about 6 years, but he would get that Nova miniseries done at Marvel. So Cool issue. I love Dragon. This is a really great issue. Really fun to go back and look at this. Uh, it's about all I got. Go check out my channel. I do post daily comic book reviews. So thanks again for watching. Please subscribe and like the video if you haven't yet. It really helps me out. And I will see you guys on the next one. Go read comics.